Hello my beautiful friends, it is Mimi here today and I'm so happy and grateful to be here today because today's video is going to be one that's been requested for years now, ever since I had Alexa, and it's a parenting Q&A. Today I'm going to be answering all of your mostly requested questions about my parenting style, how I raise Alexa, my parenting philosophy, how I deal with tantrums, etc, etc. There's so much to cover. In fact, this is my second attempt at filming this video because the first time I tried to film it like a week ago, I got to an hour of filming and I realized I only answered like 3 questions. So I'm gonna try to be very concise and very clear in my communication and keep it short because that way I can answer more of your questions. But if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also, you can request another video so I can answer more questions if you're really into it. But for now, let's just get started. Now, before I start this video, I just want to mention one most important thing is that at the end of the day, I'm just a human being. I'm not a perfect mom. I'm just a regular mom like every single other mom. And this is just my parenting style, my parenting philosophy. It's not necessarily the perfect way to parent a child. It's just my way to parent a child. And I think it's just so important to keep that in mind, especially if you're a parent yourself. Do your best, and I know it's going to be hard because we'll all do this, but do your best as you're listening to my answer, not to compare yourself to me, because we'll all come from different backgrounds, different walks of life, we'll all have different life circumstances, and I'm sure you're doing your best as a parent, I'm doing my best as a parent, and like I said, we'll all have our own way of parenting, and every single way is the right way, as long as it works for you. So now that I got this out of the way, let's just get started. All right, question number 1. How was your parenting philosophy developed? Did you read any books or did you follow any parenting gurus? My parenting philosophy developed way before I even had Alexa. I always thought about whether I will or will not have a child. And if I would have a child, I always thought about how I would raise this child. And for me, some of the things that I will mention, some things that were very important is realizing that, and again, realizing this way before I had Alexa, just by observing other parents or observing my personal relationship with my parents, is that when you have a child, the child doesn't belong to you. You're just a vessel. It might come through you, but it does not belong to you. It is not you. It is not here to live your purpose. It's a whole separate being and entity, and it's an equal to me. So I'm not, as a parent, a superior to this being, to this human being. I'm an equal to this human being. So this is something that I realized way before I had a child, and it's a very important part of my parenting philosophy, because with that mindset, ever since I had Alexa, even when she was just 1 day old, I always treated her as a little adult. I never assumed that she doesn't understand. I talked to her and as an adult from day one and explained everything I was doing to her. Always treating others how you want to be treated was another very important part of my philosophy. So I always treat Alexa how I would want myself to be treated if I was her age. I remember how I felt when I was a kid, when I felt unfairly treated, or if I wanted more of something, affection or this or that. I have very good memories, so I remember myself being a kid. All these things that I remember, I tried to do better for her. So again, treating her as a little adult and with respect, same respect I would treat Alex, I would treat any of my friends, any of my family members. Also, anything I do has to feel right. So I might read certain books or watch a video on this or that, but at the end of the day, my philosophy is that whenever I do something with Alexa, to Alexa, whenever I say something to Alexa, it has to feel right. And I think that's just the most important anchor in my parenting philosophy, because if it feels right, if I'm happy, she's happy, then I know it's the right thing to do. So these are just some things that form and constantly evolve my parenting philosophy, because as a parent, you're learning new things all the time and you're changing and you're adapting to your growing child. But these are the core values. They're the same as us and you must treat them with the same respect. What's your biggest goal as a parent? I think it's a great question. As a parent, I have a few goals, and it is for Alexa to be happy, healthy, and independent. The reason it's important to me, obviously, because if she's happy, healthy, independent, she's going to have a good life. I don't care what she does in life. That's totally up to her. I don't care where she chooses to live, who she chooses to marry, be with, not marry. But as long as she's happy, healthy, and independent, I know she's going to be good. And I realize that I cannot control any of those things, but I do have the control over encouraging her to be happy through the way I talk to her, through the mindset I expose her to, and talking about gratitude and happiness and focusing on the good things in life, not complaining. Like the little things that I do every day now are forming her subconscious mind. So as a parent, in fact, you have so much control over your child's future happiness and obviously current happiness as well. All the habits that I instill in her are going to help her, and it's now proven by science 0 to 6 is the most vulnerable time of a child's life. It's when the brain is forming, it's when they're absorbing all this information. So we do as parents have so much power when it comes to happiness. So I'm doing my best to encourage all these habits that will allow her to be happy, will allow her to be healthy. So exposing her to healthy food, lots of vegetables, lots of fruit, just small things, but things that will encourage her and build this relationship that she has with food. Again, will allow her to have a better relationship with it as she grows up and then into her adult life. And then of course independence, so not making decisions for her, always allowing her to make at least the small decisions. Like for example, when we get to playground, I never tell her where to go. I just kind of say we're at the playground. And even in that small area of independence, allow her to choose where she wants to go, how long she wants to stay on a swing or a slide, or sometimes she just wants to sit at a bench and observe. So I never force her to do anything. I just allow her to make her own decisions, at least when she can, or like allowing her to choose between 2 pairs of shoes. And I see how much that has given her confidence and built her confidence already. So I'm very excited to see how that's going to build her confidence as she grows up as well. So these 3 things are very important to me: happy, healthy, and independent. All right, this question has been asked so many times. What are some parenting books you recommend? I'm gonna try not to go into too much detail because actually every single question that I'm answering now, I feel like I could do a separate video on every single one of these questions. So I have to like almost stop myself, like pause myself from saying more and try to like put my thoughts into like very shorter sentences. Same with books. I could probably do a whole video on every single one of these books, but I'm gonna keep it really short. So my favorite books are, I'm just looking at the list here. I haven't read so many parenting books actually, but there's a few that I have that I feel have enriched my parenting experiences and gave me some tips or encouraged me to follow my philosophy even more because they resonated with my personal philosophy on parenting. So first book is Bringing Up Bebe. It's something I read when I was pregnant. It's such a fun read. Again, you don't have to write anything down. I'm gonna link everything down below in the info box, so don't worry about that. So Bringing Up Bebe is a very fun read about French style of parenting. French are known to have really good relationships with their kids, even into adulthood. Like the kids actually want to hang out with their parents. And the writer of this book, she's American, she moves to Paris, and then she has kids, so she's comparing the different parenting styles. Hilarious read. I kept laughing as I was listening to this book, and I did take lots of interesting tips from this book, so would definitely recommend that. And then the next one is Self-Confident Baby by, I believe, Magda Gerber. This is a book that was recommended to me by Alex, and when he recommended to me, I was so grateful because I had a very strong idea of what kind of parenting style I have. But when I talked to other people, it was hard to explain where my philosophy was coming from, what am I basing it on, because Alexa is my first child. I don't have any experience in raising any other children. I don't want to have younger siblings. So when I tried to say like all these things that I believed in, for example, not saying no to a child, and then being really hands-on and like not putting Alexa in full-time daycare until she's 3 years old, people really questioned my beliefs or why I wanted to do this. but this book kind of reaffirmed all of my personal ideas and philosophy, and I absolutely adore this book. So I would definitely recommend reading this book. The writer has her own school. It's called The Right Method, and it's basically how to treat, again, these little humans as equal adults, how to talk to them in a way that they understand, how to treat them with respect, how to allow them freedom within boundaries. There's so much practical information, and I absolutely love this book. So I would definitely recommend for you guys to read it if you want to have a confident baby. And then another book that I really recommend and I go back to every time we have a bit of an emotional time. For example, Alexa just had 4 molars come through, or they, no, not molars, canines. She had canines come through for the last 2 months, like she's been teething, and it's been a little intense. So this book talks about how to deal with tantrums and just how to talk to your kids, how to avoid saying certain things, and how to talk to them with respect so they understand what you want and still have those boundaries in place, because kids will always try to push the boundaries. So this one is called No Bad Kids, and it's a really short audiobook. I think it's like 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and a half. So every time I feel a little bit out of balance as a parent, I make sure I listen to this book again. Another book, which is not really a parenting book, the next 2 books are actually not parenting books, but I believe they're so important if you are working with children, if you're working with people. So it's just an important book for everybody to read. And this one is called The Growth Mindset. I have featured it probably a year ago or more on my favorites. So The Growth Mindset talks about how to talk to other people without labeling. And when I read that book, I realized how much I personally label in my life. And when I say labeling, it's just saying to somebody, oh, this is amazing, good job, well done, or you're beautiful. It's kind of like labeling, this is fantastic. You're saying like one word label that doesn't really describe what you mean. So she was saying how important it is when you're raising a child to avoid labels. It's not always possible, but do your best to avoid labeling. For example, if your child drew a beautiful picture, instead of saying, oh, you're so amazing, you're so smart, this is so beautiful, you can say, I love how you mix the green, the yellow, and the purple. You know, it made it such a nice combination. I see how hard you worked. And then like giving more specific compliments as opposed to a little label. It makes the compliment more authentic. It also praises the effort, not the end goal. And that's an important thing to teach our children, because that's an important thing I want to teach Alexa, is to always try in life. You're always given new challenges. And as long as you're trying, as long as you're persevering, you're growing, you're bettering yourself as a human being. So when we encourage the end goal, it's the wrong thing, because they sometimes become afraid of even trying because they don't believe they can get to the end goal. But as long as you encourage the effort, there's no fear of failure. It doesn't create that fear of, oh, what if I do this and I'm not gonna look smart, or I'm not gonna look beautiful. So the book obviously goes into so much depth on this. I definitely recommend for everybody to read this book. It's called The Growth Mindset. And the last book that I'm going to recommend to you guys is called The Biology of Belief. I just featured it in my, I believe, October favorites. And The Biology of Belief talks about the importance of the brain development from 0 to 6 in a child, how this is the time when the subconscious mind is forming, and everything the child hears from the parent, from the caregiver in their nursery, from cartoons, movies, whatever they're exposed to goes into the subconscious mind, which then basically forms their identity, a belief system that will control 90%, no, I believe it's like 95 to 90%, 99% of their life, their decisions, their everything. This is really important thing to understand. Like I said, we do have a lot of control in regards to what goes into their mind, based on what we're saying to them, based on what cartoons, movies, whatever they're exposed to, based on the nursery we choose for them, and how they talk to the kids in those nurseries, based on the books we read to them, based on everything we expose them to. So again, this one is called Biology of Belief, and I definitely recommend for everyone to read this one. So the next question is also a very frequently asked question, and it is, does Alexa have any screen time? Now, screen time is something that I know I'm personally addicted to. A lot of us, if not most of us, are addicted to. And even before I had Alexa, I did some research on this, and I knew that I'm going to limit her exposure to screen time for as long as possible. Number one reason is that, again, kids 0 to 6, when they're watching screen, they cannot tell reality from the screen. So when they're sitting there watching the cartoon, they think it's real life. That's what makes it really addicting. Also, that's what makes them like zombies. When they're sitting there in front of the screen, they're like, you could be talking to them, you could be doing things, and they're like just staring. It scares me sometimes. When I do allow her to watch something, I'm like, oh my God, like she's not being active in the real world because she thinks that's the real world. So Alexa doesn't get any screen time at the moment, with the exceptions of, obviously we live in the real world and nothing is perfect. So the exceptions are, for example, the big exception was before, back in the day when I would try to cut her nails and she would scream like I'm cutting her fingers off. I had to allow her. I mean, that was my decision that I made. I would let her watch something like some cartoon or some songs on YouTube for 5-10 minutes while I would be clipping her nails, and it like made it so much easier. She would just allow me to do it as long as she had the screen, and I would do it maybe every 2 weeks. But then as she trusted me more to do her nails, I slowly got her off that habit. So the only time I allow Alexa to have screen time is sometimes on airplanes. On airplanes, absolutely, I allow her to watch something, because especially if it's a long flight, I cannot entertain her for 8 hours straight in this tiny plane. So it just makes everybody's life easier. So screen time on the plane is fine. Then sometimes in the cars, I will let her play with my phone, or if we're in a restaurant, I let her play with my phone, but I don't let her watch anything. So the difference is here that when she takes my phone, she's not consuming information. She's so I put my phone in airplane mode so she can't go on YouTube, because she knows the YouTube icon and she quickly presses on that, but then she realizes there's no connection, and then she'll go to my notes, she'll start drawing, or she'll take pictures, or she'll do something with my phone that's more interactive. So I prefer for her to learn how to use the equipment rather than mindlessly consume something, and that happens, you know, maybe every few days she'll play with it for a little bit. The alternative that I thought of is allowing Alexa to listen to whatever she wants for as long as she wants. So whenever she wants to listen to Peppa Pig, because she's obsessed with Peppa Pig, I let her listen to Peppa Pig. She even knows all the episodes, so she'll tell me, I want to listen to Peppa Pig birthday episode, or this episode, or that episode. I put it on and she can listen to it whenever she wants. So sometimes when she's eating or when we're in the car, I just play it for her. I like that because it's allowing her to learn English language. It's exposing her to new words without the addiction element, because she's still seeing the outside world. She's still interacting with me. She may be drawing and listening sometimes. So that has worked really well. Now, does she still ask for the screen? Of course she does. And there was a period of time where, you know, I allowed her to watch it for a few days, and then like it really became really scary. Like she became addicted. Like maybe a couple of days I let her watch for 10-15 minutes, and then as soon as she woke up, she would be like, Piggy, I want to watch Piggy. And I said, Alexa, I can't let you watch this. I would explain to her in normal terms, as I would to an adult, what this does to her brain, and I just can't let her watch it. And of course she got upset. One time she maybe had a meltdown for like 30 minutes. She was crying, and I just said, I'm sorry, I can't let you. This is not good for you. However, I can play this for you. If you want, you can listen to it. And eventually she got used to it, and you know, now she barely ever asks. So that's just something to keep in mind if you want to break the habit of the screen addiction for your child. The next question is a very interesting one that I love talking about, and this one is, how do you avoid saying no? So some of you know that I don't use no in my actually regular life with other people as well. If you want me to talk about it, I can do a separate video on this, but I also don't use no with Alexa like ever. So she's now 2 years and 1 month, a little over 1 month, and I've never ever said no to her. That doesn't mean I say yes to her, by the way. I'll explain how I substitute that word. So I never use no, and the reason to that, there's a list of things that I never use, I will explain right now, is because I believe that words hold great power and really influence our mind, and especially at this young, fragile age, I am very mindful at the way I speak to her. So in general, I'm a very mindful speaker in my regular life as well. This made it a little bit easier, but with Alexa, I almost have to be even more mindful because I know I'm building and forming her subconscious mind. So it gives me, encourages me even more to be mindful. Also, another thing that I always keep in mind, it's a quote that I read somewhere, is how we talk to our children becomes their inner dialogue. And again, that's just another thing that inspires me to always be mindful about how I talk to her. So some things that I never say to Alexa are no, you can't, don't, stop, we don't do this. I don't use the we. And then I don't label her. So when she does something that I might consider bad, I don't say, this is bad, this is mean, this is, I don't pass all these judgments. So the reason I avoid using no and all these other things that I've just explained is that it creates a fixed mindset rather than the growth mindset. And the fixed mindset is not a healthy mindset to have if you want your child to flourish in life. So instead of saying no, I say, I can't let you. The result is still the same. For example, when she wants to watch Peppa Pig, or if she wants to, I don't know, break a plate or do anything that she's not supposed to be doing because it's unhealthy, because it's dangerous, etc., I just say, I can't let you do this. If she wants to hit me, if she wants to bite me, not that she does, but once in a while she might try to playfully hit me, and I'll catch her hand, and instead of saying no, I say, Alexa, I can't let you hit me. This hurts. So the idea is that not only you avoid using no, because a lot of people just say, no, don't do this, but they don't explain why. So I say, I can't let you do this. So it's a very direct communication. Instead of you use I. And by the way, I now do this with adults in my life as well. So let's have an example. She's trying to hit me. I grab her hand. I say, Alexa, I can't let you hit me. This hurts. She tries it again. I catch her hand again, and you say, I can't let you hit me. That's very painful, and I just won't let you do that. So this one way you can use for anything pretty much. I can't let you watch a movie because you're too young to be exposed to screen time. I cannot let you anything. As long as you're explaining, eventually they understand. They might have a meltdown. They always have a meltdown when you don't allow them to do something. Eventually they understand why, and that's the most important thing. The reason I don't use we is because it's very confusing to them when we say we don't do this. They say, well, I want to do that. It's not a direct communication. So a lot of the books that I recommended, I think the Magda Gerber book on self-confident baby, she goes in more depth on this, because I always knew that I didn't want to use no, because I don't use no with myself or other people in my life, but I didn't know what I will substitute it with. And she talked about how they talk to kids at this rice school, and how she encourages parents to talk to their kids, and it is by using I statements as opposed to using no, you don't, you can't, stop, and all of that stuff. Alexa is very well behaved. Like I said, she doesn't watch screen time, she eats healthy, she knows the boundaries and the freedom within those boundaries, and I've never used any of this self-limiting words. Do you have a nanny? Contrary to what I've heard sometimes on social media, because social media is a very interesting thing, and sometimes people talk about your life as if they're living it. So sometimes I've seen comments that say, oh, Mimi has nannies, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a nanny. I've never had a nanny. Even before I had Alexa, I knew that I want to be a full-on parent, meaning that I will stay home and I will do my best to be there present for her. I will not stop working, but I will work around her schedule. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, which is obviously very difficult to manage and still be healthy and have time for fun and your friends and other things. But it's a short period of time if you look at the scale of life. So I knew that I will be a full-on parent, but I also know that I never liked doing housework. Most housework, like ironing, washing clothes, cleaning the house, I don't like doing it. And I believe when you do something you don't like, it's just not good for you. And I obviously can't also afford to hire somebody to help me. So I always knew that I'm going to have some help when Alexa comes into our lives to help me around the house with house chores. I had a family friend that I knew for years, even before I got pregnant. And I told her, when I have a kid, this is the work she was doing. I said, I'm going to give you a call. So she helped me, I think, from the time Alexa was 5 months for about a year or so, maybe a little more. And it was amazing. if you live away from your family, from your mom, your sisters, your grandmother, your aunts, dad, you know, your family circle, your community, basically, it's very hard to be a parent all by yourself. If something goes wrong, you can't go to anyone. If you want to step out for a meeting, for anything, you don't have anyone to rely on. So I think if you can afford, this can be the best investment in the first couple of years of a child's life, or maybe even more if you can afford to. It's amazing. So I was so happy to have her help me that year or so. And then she moved on to some other things, and I just wasn't able to find another housekeeper that I really liked, because this is like the hardest position to hire for, because this person pretty much is at your house all day long. So you have to love them, like you have to vibe with their energy and the way they do things. You also want them to enjoy what they're doing. So I haven't been able to find anyone yet. So I've been doing everything myself, except for cleaning, because I have a cleaner who comes in twice a week, but that's not enough. If you have kids, you know, like the house is a mess all the time. So I'm cleaning up all day long, constantly, after Alexa makes messes everywhere in the house, and dishes and cookings from the scratch all day long. It's a lot of work, and buying groceries. So it's been very stressful, and I don't like being stressed. So I am looking maybe even to contact that lady again and get her to come and help me at least part-time. But ideally, I feel like I do still need a full-time housekeeper to have full focus on actually being present with Alexa, taking her out, doing more things with her, reading to her, because when you're doing housework, you can't pay the same attention to the child. But it's fine. It's given me two different experiences and given me more appreciation too when I have help. But I never had a nanny. I changed every single diaper. I was always there for Alexa for every nap. I'm still breastfeeding her after 2 years, which is crazy, but barely, every few days maybe. She's slowly weaning herself now, but yeah, I never had a nanny. I'm going to try to get through these questions really fast, because I realize I still have quite a few questions to go through. So potty training. Yes, Alexa is fully potty trained. We potty trained her at 23 months. I believe she was ready way before, but we waited for a while because we wanted to be in the same place, because we were traveling a lot in the summer. So we potty trained her in August. The book that we used, the method that we used, is called Oh Crap Potty Training Book. I'm gonna link everything down below. I love the method. You have to read the book to understand the whole concept, and then if you follow it, guys, it really works. She's been potty trained from day one, no more diapers except for when she sleeps at night. I think it's amazing. The sooner you potty train the child, the healthier for them. Instead of diapers, they wear cotton underwear, and they're not walking around with the pee and the poop like stuck to their butt. So that's one. It's healthier for the environment. Also, it gives them so much confidence to be able to control their bowel movements and decide when they want to urinate. So I can see how that made her even more confident as a child. And for those people who say, oh, 2 years old is too early, because I got some comments like that when we were potty training Alexa. I got potty trained when I was 1, and so did my sister, because back in the day when I was little, there were no diapers. So they potty train you as soon as possible. So it is possible to potty train at a young age. Many people now keep diapers till kid is 4 or 5. It's totally up to you. If it works for you, your child, do whatever works for you. But, you know, if you go through that difficult time, it does make it easier in the long term. It is going to take a few months for them to like fully grasp it, obviously, because for 2 whatever years they were using diapers and doing it whenever they wanted to. But the end goal, it's amazing to have a child that's potty trained. You don't have to have diapers, and yeah, it's just better for everything and everyone. Can you please talk about sleep training? Absolutely. This is one of the most frequently asked questions ever, and I know how important sleep is when you have a child. I always thought that Alexa is just going to sleep when she was born. Like, she's just gonna get it. She's gonna sleep at night and take her naps. But when you have a child, you realize that when they come into this world, they don't have a routine. It's your job as a parent to provide them with a healthy routine that helps them thrive and also feel safe in this world. So sleep training is something that we did at 5 months, when Alexa was 5 months. At that point, I was just fed up with this crazy lifestyle of me breastfeeding her for like 15-hour days. Literally, she was on my breast because she would rely on me to fall asleep for her naps or fall asleep or on the stroller. So it was either me breastfeeding her or us like walking around with a stroller for an hour until she fell asleep. And then at night I would breastfeed her, and then I would quietly walk put her in the crib, and then as I would walk away, our floors are like really old, and like they would make a noise and she would wake up, and I'd be like, oh no. Put her back on the breast for another 40 minutes, then put her back, and sometimes do that for like hours until she finally fell asleep. But then 3 hours later she wakes up. If you're a new parent, you know what I'm talking about. So at about 5 months mark, I was ready. I was like, I believe there's a better way to do this. I do not believe every single parent is going through this madness, because you have no sanity when you're not sleeping. As a parent, you want to provide to your child, but if you're not getting at least 5-6 hours of sleep, like good uninterrupted sleep at night, how are you supposed to care for this child? And I personally just need at least 5-6 hours of sleep. I found a sleep trainer on the internet, and I just read her reviews on her Facebook page, and it just clicked. I'm gonna link her information down below. By the way, this is not sponsored in any way. I have paid for my services. It was expensive, but it was the best money ever spent because it saved my sanity. I am so grateful to her for helping us out. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been amazing. She pretty much in 2 days learned to sleep through the night. At that point, she was waking up like 3 times at night to nurse. Instead of strollers, because she would always nap in strollers, she started sleeping in her own bed for her nap time. Now, of course, it takes work on your part as a parent, and the sleep trainer works with you and teaches you on how to help them learn how to self-soothe, because that's what sleep training is allowing a child to learn this new habit of self-soothing, which will help them for the rest of their life to have healthy sleeping habits. Because some of us have been pacified, have been bottle fed until we go to sleep, and to this day, I personally had issues with sleep because I probably had those habits when I was little. So sleep training, incredibly important. I highly recommend, Google local sleep trainer in your area, or work with the lady that I recommend. I think she does it virtually as well, but I think it's still better to do it personally when you have somebody in your personal life. And it is not a cry out method. You're there with them through all of it. You go in and out, and you're there with them. And that, to me, that was very important. I didn't want to let Alexa cry and just close the door or something like that. So it's not a cry out method. It's very gentle, compassionate method where you're there with them. Again, you talk to them, you explain it's a new habit, and eventually in like a couple of days they get it. Sometimes it might take longer, sometimes it would be faster, and they sleep through the night. And it's liberating, and it's life-saving, and it's just amazing. All right, I just have a couple more questions. I realize this video is extremely long. I hope you're drinking tea as I am, because yeah, this is a nice in-depth chat about parenting. But it's been requested for so long, and I really want to tell you guys as much as possible without making this video 10 hours long. All right, the next question is another frequently asked question, one that I really want to cover because this is an important one. A lot of you ask me whether Alexa has tantrums and meltdowns, and yes, oh yes. I think every single healthy child has tantrums and meltdowns, and it's not a sign of anything bad. In fact, it's a sign of their character building, and it's completely normal and it's completely healthy, but it's about how you deal with them that either can promote more of them or diminish them. And I'll talk about how I deal with Alexa's tantrums right now. So does Alexa have tantrums and meltdowns? Yes, she does. She's been actually having tantrums and meltdowns since she was 8-9 months old. I kid you not, which is very early for that. And the reason to that is because she has a very strong personality. She's very confident. She always knows what she wants, what she doesn't want. So she's challenged things since she was that little. Stroller, sometimes she'll like freak out, not want to go in the stroller, have a complete meltdown. I talk to her, I say, listen, I cannot carry you, you're heavy, So when the meltdown happens, how do you deal with them? You talk to them as an adult because you assume they do understand, and they do understand everything you say to them. So be calm and polite. So when they have a tantrum, our natural reaction is to go and escalate our voice and like start screaming because they're screaming and you think they're not gonna hear you, but in fact you have to like lower your voice and almost whisper to them, say, I understand you're upset, I know you don't want to go in the stroller, we have a long way to go and I really can't carry you. And then you just put her in the seat, strap her in the stroller and keep going, and she might cry for a few minutes and then eventually she stops and she distracts herself with something. But sometimes you'll have to stop along the way and still keep talking to her. It's not that easy. Alexa, to this day, at 2 years old, is still challenging the stroller. She can't stand it. I can't wait to no longer have a stroller in our lives when she can walk for longer periods of time. Like when we go out for shorter walks, we don't take it anymore. So one thing I never did, I never tried to distract her from her meltdowns or from her tantrums. And the reason to that is because it's very important for the kids to express their emotions and feel safe and allowed to express their emotions. And I noticed this a lot, you know, parents try to distract the meltdown or the tantrum. And I understand it's the easy way out. Give them the screen or show them a bird or give them a toy. But I was always from day one an advocate, especially when grandparents are around and they try to distract. I would say, please don't distract her. Let her go through the emotion. That also allows them to build an emotional resilience. It also teaches them that they can express and let you know how they're feeling, especially when she couldn't talk. That was her way of expressing when she didn't want to do something or was upset about something. So when you shut them up or when you distract them, you're ultimately telling them it's not okay to express your emotions. So that's something really important to keep in mind with tantrums. I know it's not easy, but allow for them to express their emotion, acknowledge their feelings. And then if it's a real tantrum, you can always offer a solution. So for example, in Alexa's case, if she wants to watch Peppa Pig and I tell her, I can't let you watch Peppa on the screen because it's not good for your brain development, blah, blah, blah. But solution or alternative is I can let you listen to Peppa. Would you like me to play an episode? At that point, sometimes she'll completely stop crying and be like, yes, please play whatever. And same thing if they want a candy, you say, I can't give you any more candy if you've already given them some, but I can give you an apple or I can give you an orange. Would you like this and that? Give them options. There's somewhere to put their focus on away from what they can have, but also really important to still stay strong and say, I can't let you have whatever they want to have. There's the difference between tantrums and meltdowns. Tantrum is a controlled emotion where they're crying, but if you give them what they want, they stop instantly. With meltdowns, it's a sensory meltdown that they cannot control. And sometimes you'll give them everything they want and they'll still be crying. That's called sensory meltdown. And that can happen a lot when the kids are out, when the kid is out. For example, you're at a shopping mall or somewhere out, maybe you're at somebody's house and they just completely wah and like nothing really helps. At that point, what really helps with the sensory meltdown is just pick them up and take them to a safe place. So if you're in a shopping mall, take them to a car and just like sit with them in the car, let them calm down, give them some water. Just say, I know, I understand, I'm here with you. But sometimes you don't need to say anything either. Sometimes just let them be. At home, if they're having a sensory meltdown and you just really can't, like you don't know what to do, sometimes just walk away. Walking away is better than you screaming at them, is better than you like telling them and trying to explain something when they're not really, like when they're having a meltdown, they're not listening. It doesn't matter what you say. So be there for them, say, I'm here for you. I'm just gonna walk away for a minute. Walk away for a minute, breathe. There were times when she was having meltdown, like I literally went in the other room, had my own meltdown, like I was crying. I'm like, oh my God, this is like the 5th meltdown. But there's periods of times when this happens in a child's life, when they're teething, when they're going through a growth spurt. So it is completely normal. These things pass as they grow older and they're able to express themselves better. Okay, and the very last question, oh my goodness, I think this video will be an hour long, is the question on Alexa's diet. And a lot of you ask me, what do you feed her? Is Alexa a vegetarian? Is she pescatarian? So Alexa's diet is very much like my own. I eat pretty much plant-based, but I do eat some seafood and fish. So I'm a pescatarian. Alexa is a pescatarian as well. I always believe that I will feed her the way I feed myself. And then as she grows older, if she shows interest in eating other foods, for example, if she does want to eat meat or chicken or anything, I will allow her to do whatever she wants. Like I said, my philosophy is that I don't own her. Like she doesn't need to be me. She's her own person. She will have to learn to make her own decisions and observe the consequences of those decisions. I will expose her to all the right information, but ultimately she has to make the decision. So if she shows interest and, you know, once in a while we're in a restaurant, Alex occasionally eats chicken and she showed interest in the chicken, I let her have it. She tried it, so she knows what chicken tastes like. She eats mostly lots of vegetables. She drinks lots of water. I don't give her any juices. She's never tried any juice except for celery juice with me in the mornings. No juices from packs or things because those are full of sugar. They suppress appetite, so they affect your child's appetite. She's never tried it. She doesn't expect it when we're out in a restaurant. She just never has that. When it comes to dairy, she doesn't really drink cow's milk. She has tried cow's milks before. I give her oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk. Once in a while, she'll have yogurt and some cheese cheeses because Alex eats dairy once in a while, so we have it in the fridge. So again, if she shows interest, I allow her to have it. Yeah, for the most part, it's vegetables, it's seafood, and lots of fruit. Fruits are great for kids. Give them fruit instead of juices, instead of smoothies, instead of candy, instead of all the other stuff. I can't say she hasn't had sugar, but we don't have any sugar at home, so she doesn't really eat sugar on the regular. When we're traveling, she might have a gelato. So when she's having sugar, it's like good quality sugar at a good gelato place or a nice croissant in a nice bakery. So once in a while, I'll have it, and again, I'll let her have it as well. And I think it's about having a healthy balance, especially as they grow up, they go to school, they're exposed to other kids. It's okay to try things, but as long as at your house you feed them healthy, in my opinion, that's what I try to do. Again, I cook everything from scratch all the time, and it's a lot of work, but I do believe it is setting her up for healthy digestion for the rest of her life, and also healthy eating habits, and also developing a healthy appetite. She is such a food snob in a way because she's definitely a foodie already, and if something is not of good quality, even if she's hungry, she won't eat it. If something doesn't look right, she just doesn't eat it. And I think that's also great. In a way, it's harder when you're out and about and something is not of great quality, but also it's a protection. Sometimes it's better not to eat rather than eat crap food. That's my personal philosophy. I go hungry a lot of times when I'm in a restaurant and I can see like the food is not prepared well, or if it doesn't look good. Like, I just trust my own instincts with things, and if it just doesn't look good, I don't eat it. And I can see she's already like that, so that's pretty cool. So I believe that's all I have to say about her eating. If you guys have any other questions in regards to anything else, or if you'd like for me to make another video, let me know and I'll do another parenting Q&A. But for now, this is it. This is one long video. Let me know how you've enjoyed it. Give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure to turn the notifications on so you get a notification when I post a video. You can be the first one to see. And also, if there are any books that you guys would recommend on certain parenting philosophies or anything like that that you found useful, then definitely let me know in the comments below as well. I believe that's all. Whoa, that was a lot of talking. I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for being here with me, watching this long video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!